Okay, let's get started. Good evening, everyone. I'm Linda Zheng from Greenwald International Business School. Great to see you online. Today, Miss Michelle Q. Vagana and I will respectively share different topic with you. The topic I will share is enjoy a life free of inflammation. And Miss Michelle will share about being addicted to carbs could be dangerous. If you have any questions that need to be answered, we have invited Madam Morta Mbella from South Africa and Miss Doreen from Kenya to help answer. Alternatively, after the course ends, you can type your questions related to it in the comment section. I will reply to you as soon as I see it. Thank you. Okay, let's get started. We are all familiar with the topic of anti-aging, but have you ever thought about the root cause of aging? Today, let's dive into this topic and trace the origins to uncover the truth behind aging. Okay, let's move on. You may have come across this phrase in health articles or books. The human body ages as the blood vessels age, as we know that the function of blood vessels and blood is to deliver the nutrients and oxygen the body needs to cells throughout the body, while also removing unnecessary metabolic waste. Thanks to the silent work of blood vessels, all our cells are energized and vibrant. The blood vessels of young people are soft and elastic, but as we age, they gradually harden and form plaques on the inner walls, making the blood vessels narrower and more prone to rupture. These are signs of vascular aging. In fact, the phenomenon of atherosclerosis, vascular aging, is closely related to inflammation. Studies have even shown that it's not just aging, but also some modern diseases such as diabetes, cancer, depression, Alzheimer's, and atopic dermatitis share a common underlying cause, inflammation. Let's move on. When you hear the word inflammation, what image comes to mind? There are four main characteristics of inflammation: redness, swelling, heat, and pain or itching. If you notice a part of your body becoming red, swollen, hot, and painful, it's likely inflamed. For example, if your arm gets bitten by a mosquito, the area might immediately become red and swollen and feel firm to the touch, while the itching might be more intense than the pain. This is a typical manifestation of inflammation. This happens because the body rejects substances in the mosquito's saliva, treating them as foreign matter and generating an inflammatory response to expel them. Another example: if you are active for an extended period, work more than usual, or try an unfamiliar workout, you might experience muscle soreness the next day. This is also a form of inflammation. In the past, people thought the soreness was due to lactic acid building up in the muscles, but recent studies confirm that it's actually an inflammatory response. Why does muscle soreness appear the day after workout? Intense exercise causes minor damage to muscle fibers or surrounding tissue, and the body initiates an inflammatory response to repair the damage. causing pain as a side effect. Additionally, when you catch a cold and experience a sore throat or suffer from a sprain or bruise, inflammation occurs, showing redness, swelling, heat, and pain. However, these symptoms usually subside after a while, and the affected area heals. Okay, next. Inflammation isn't always a bad thing. In most cases, it's the body's protective immune response. Apart from the acute inflammation we just mentioned, there is another type of inflammation that doesn't present obvious symptoms like redness, swelling, heat, or pain, but persists over time and continuously affects the body. This is chronic inflammation. Here is how to distinguish between acute and chronic inflammation. Acute inflammation appears suddenly and subsides quickly, while chronic inflammation doesn't show immediate symptoms and can have long-lasting effects. Some chronic inflammation develops from unresolved acute inflammation, while others are caused by mild inflammation that wasn't properly treated, worsening over time. In the early stages, chronic inflammation often doesn't cause discomfort, which seems like a good thing because it's not easily detectable. It often becomes more difficult to manage when the situation worsens. If we compare acute inflammation to a sudden and fierce fire that burns out quickly, chronic inflammation is more like a constant smoldering ember, just as a small spark can ignite a massive forest fire. Chronic inflammation can escalate in the same way. Okay, next. Let's take a commonly seen health condition, periodontal disease, as an example. As the name suggests, periodontal disease refers to conditions affecting the tissues surrounding the teeth. Specifically, it occurs when the alveolar bone or gums become infected with periodontal bacteria, leading to inflammation. In fact, our mouths harbor hundreds of bacteria species, and over 100 known types of bacteria can cause periodontal disease, all of which are quite common. This means everyone has a chance of developing periodontal disease. If we don't brush our teeth properly, the periodontal bacteria hidden in the periodontal pockets will continue to multiply, forming dental plaque. At the same time, the toxins produced by these bacteria interact with other periodontal bacteria, triggering inflammation in the gums. The edges of the gums become red and may bleed slightly when brushing. This is the onset of periodontal disease. If left untreated, the inflammation will gradually spread, leading to loose teeth, gum recession, and even tooth loss. Aside from causing gum bleeding and tooth loss, periodontal disease has also been found to be closely related to systemic diseases in recent years. The most well-known of these is diabetes. In the past, it was widely recognized that diabetic patients often suffer from periodontal disease. However, recent studies have revealed a reverse causal relationship. People with periodontal disease are also more likely to develop diabetes and even other serious illnesses. Why is this? Because when periodontal bacteria accumulate around the teeth, they also produce various inflammatory mediated, which spread throughout the body via the bloodstream and interfere with insulin's ability to lower blood sugar levels. Atherosclerosis is another related condition. Numerous reports from around the world have found periodontal bacteria in the blood vessels of patients with atherosclerosis. This suggests that inflammation originating in the mouth has a high probability of evolving into blood inflammation in other parts of the body in the future. Okay, next. As a matter of fact, whether it's atherosclerosis, cancer, depression, Alzheimer's disease, diabetes, or atopic dermatitis, these diseases are almost all linked to chronic inflammation. People with high blood pressure, high blood sugar, and excess low-density lipoprotein, LDL cholesterol, are at higher risk for atherosclerosis. Recent research suggests that atherosclerosis is essentially a prolonged inflammatory state in the blood vessel walls. So, chronic inflammation is the true cause of atherosclerosis. Atherosclerosis develops gradually. Stage 1. The initial trigger for atherosclerosis is damage to the vascular endothelium. The innermost layer of blood vessels is lined with endothelial cells, which are tightly arranged in sheaths. These endothelial cells not only regulate blood flow and vascular function, but also absorb essential nutrients from the bloodstream. When endothelial cells are damaged, they begin to release signaling substances that trigger inflammation. Subsequently, a type of white blood cell called a monocyte attaches to the endothelial surface and penetrates the blood vessel wall through gaps between the endothelial cells. At this stage, once inside the vessel wall, the monocytes transform into macrophages, which are responsible for engulfing and processing foreign substances. Stage 2. When endothelial cells are damaged and their defense functions weaken, external substances can more easily penetrate the blood vessel walls. The most typical of these substances is excess bad cholesterol in the bloodstream. Once bad cholesterol infiltrates the vessel walls, it undergoes oxidation by reactive oxygen species, transforming into oxidized low-density lipoprotein cholesterol. Stage 3. When low-density lipoprotein cholesterol transforms into oxidized LDL cholesterol, the body's immune system recognizes it as a foreign substance and launches an attack. White blood cells are the body's most important immune cells, and monocytes are a type of white blood cell. Once monocytes transform into macrophages, they can touch and eliminate pathogens and other foreign substances to protect the body. However, the problem is that macrophages also identify oxidized LDL cholesterol as a foreign substance and continuously engulf it. Stage 4. The macrophages, after consuming oxidized LDL cholesterol to the extreme, transform into bone cells that are stored in the blood vessel walls, forming plaques. Okay, next. Cancer remains the leading cause of death worldwide. In fact, there is a strong connection between chronic inflammation and the onset and progression of cancer. The most obvious example is gastric cancer caused by Helicobacter pylori. H. pylori. When H. pylori infects the stomach, it produces ammonia, which not only neutralizes stomach acid and damages the milk, but also generates harmful substances such as reactive oxygen species and triggering inflammation in stomach lining. If this inflammation persists, it can eventually lead to gastric cancer. Repeated inflammation increases the frequency of cell division, making DNA replication errors more likely. Under these conditions, cancer cells can easily form. At the same time, an overburdened immune system may fail to eliminate cancer cells effectively, allowing them to accumulate and form tumors. Additionally, recent medical research has discovered that when chronic inflammation occurs in the body, normal cells produce a gene editing enzyme. When combined with genetic mutations, this significantly increases the likelihood of cancer cell formation. In a healthy body, gene editing enzymes are typically found only in B lymphocytes, a type of immune cell. However, in individuals with chronic inflammation, these enzymes are automatically generated at the site of inflammation. If gene editing enzymes appear in cells throughout the body, they can lead to the continuous formation of malignant lymphoma and increase the risk of liver cancer, lung cancer, gastric cancer, and other malignancies. Okay, next. Recent research has linked depression to brain inflammation. Chronic stress increases the production of inflammation-promoting mediators, which lowers serotonin levels and increases its breakdown. Chronic inflammation also impairs the function of neurotransmitters like serotonin and norepinephrine, which are involved in emotional regulation. This leads to damaged nerve cells and can trigger depression. These two neurotransmitters are essential for emotional stability. Serotonin helps regulate mood and mental clarity, while norepinephrine increases alertness, focus, and stress response. When these neurotransmitters are insufficient, the mind becomes unsettled, and one's enthusiasm for life decreases, leading to depressive symptoms. Moreover, scientists have recently discovered that depression, among other emotional disorders, is linked not only to dysfunction in the emotional processing parts of the brain, but also to physical damage in these areas, again caused by chronic inflammation. When stress occurs, inflammation-promoting mediators increase, and the brain secretes hormones like cortisol to combat the inflammation. But when stress hormones become excessive, active oxygen levels rise, damaging brain cells and even harming certain tissues. The hippocampus and amygdala are especially vulnerable, and studies shown that these shrink in individuals with depression. Okay, next. Speaking of brain atrophy, does it remind you of a common brain condition? Yes, dementia. Dementia refers to brain shrinkage and cognitive decline caused by the death of nerve cells due to disease, the most common being Alzheimer's disease. In the past, researchers believed the main cause of this disease was beta amyloid plaques. A study by Harvard Medical School suggests that beta amyloid plaques are found throughout the body, protecting against viruses. But when aging occurs, the balance between the production and the removal of these proteins is disrupted, and they accumulate in the brain. Over time, surrounding nerve cells die, leading to brain atrophy. However, some researchers have recently argued that beta amyloid is not the true cause of Alzheimer's disease, as many individuals accumulate beta amyloid in their brains without developing dementia. This suggests that the real culprit is inflammation. Once beta amyloid builds up in the brain, it triggers mild inflammation. If this inflammation persists for years, it can eventually lead to Alzheimer's disease. Also, in the past, it was believed that the number of neurons in the brain peaked during childhood and gradually declined with age. However, recent brain studies have discovered that new neurons continue to form regardless of age. This is because certain regions of the brain, such as the hippocampus, contain neurostem cells capable of generating new neurons, a process known as neurogenesis. However, some studies have reported that chronic inflammation in the brain can hinder neurogenesis. So far, research has shown that individuals with depression are at a higher risk of developing Alzheimer's. Those who experience recurrent depression, have periodontal disease, or suffer from diabetes are also more prone to dementia. The common underlying cause of these conditions is chronic inflammation. Okay, next. Looking back, when we were kids, we all were born before 1990s, right? There were very few kids with atopic dermatitis, maybe only one or two in an entire grade. However, today, skin problems among children have become much more common. Atopic dermatitis, in particular, has also become widespread among adults. As the name suggests, atopic dermatitis originates from chronic inflammation. It is a type of eczema that causes persistent itching, fluctuates in severity and is difficult to cure. There are two main causes of atopic dermatitis: a weakened skin defense function or a heightened allergic response to stimuli. Allergic constitution. Our skin is composed of the epidermis, dermis, and subcutaneous tissue, forming a natural defense mechanism that prevents foreign substances from entering the body and helps retain moisture. However, when the skin's defense function weakens, foreign substances can more easily penetrate, triggering inflammation. Additionally, as the skin's protective barrier weakens, the body compensates by extending nerve endings, normally located at the junction of the epidermis and dermis, into the epidermis. At this stage, the skin becomes more sensitive to stimuli, making inflammation even more likely happen. For example, in winter, low humidity causes dry, itchy skin. This happens because the skin's defense function is weakened, making it more prone to inflammation. An allergic constitution is another major cause of atopic dermatitis. Simply put, when the body encounters various stimuli, it actively produces corresponding antibodies to fight them. For example, people allergic to dust mites generate large amounts of antibodies against them. Those with atopic dermatitis tend to produce antibodies against various substances. If their skin defense function is also compromised, foreign substances can invade in large quantities, and sensitive nerves become easily irritated, leading to recurrent and persistent inflammation. For people with atopic dermatitis, stress can worsen itching. If they scratch continuously, the inflammation intensifies, making the itch even worse. Dermatologists often prescribe steroid creams to suppress inflammation and relieve itching, but this only addresses the symptoms rather than the root cause. To fundamentally manage atopic dermatitis, it's essential to focus on proper skin hydration to strengthen the skin's defense function. Identifying and avoiding allergens is also crucial. Most importantly, the body needs to be conditioned to be less prone to inflammation. Once internal inflammation is controlled, itching and other skin issues generally improve as well. Okay, next. What situations can trigger chronic inflammation then? In fact, there are many triggers in our daily lives, such as diet, exercise habits, stress, and smoking. Overeating or lack of exercise can lead to weight gain, which in turn triggers chronic inflammation. The more overweight a person is, the more severe the chronic inflammation tends to be. This is because fat tissue in obese individuals secretes more pro-inflammatory cytokines. In contrast, the fat tissue of people with normal weight secretes more anti-inflammatory cytokines. Additionally, the fat tissue in obese individuals is often in a hypoxic state. This happens because as fat cells increase in size, the crowded fat tissue slows down blood flow, leading to local oxygen deprivation, oxidative stress, and eventually chronic inflammation. Another cause of ongoing internal inflammation is conditions like inflammatory bowel disease, IBD, such as Crohn's disease. Even even though there are no bacteria, viruses in the body, the immune system mistakenly attacks healthy cells, leading to inflammation. Stress, overeating, lack of sleep, and other factors can also cause inflammation in the intestine. And if left untreated, it can evolve into chronic inflammation. The danger of chronic intestinal inflammation is that around 70% of the immune cells in the body are concentrated in the intestine. Therefore, once the intestines are affected, it can severely impact immune function and even lead to allergies or, in severe cases, colorectal cancer. Finally, aging is also a contributing factor to chronic inflammation. The cells that make up the body have a lifespan, while many cells divide and multiply on their own. There is a limit to how many times they can divide, about 50 to 60 times. The process of a cell reaching its division limit is known as cellular aging. It's important to note that these senescent cells don't die immediately. They remain in place for some time. During this period, the surrounding senescent cells secrete a large amount of substances that promote inflammation. What's worse is that when one cell ages, it acts as a catalyst, causing nearby cells to age in sync, thereby further expanding the area of inflammation and triggering various diseases. Okay, next. Speaking of aging, you might associate it with oxidation. Perhaps many of you already know that the key to anti-aging is antioxidation, since both antioxidants and anti-inflammation are related to the aging process of the body. Which one is more important? The answer is that both are equally important. Anti-inflammation is actually a form of antioxidation. Oxidation is a chemical reaction that occurs when a substance combines with oxygen. For example, an apple with its skin removed will turn brown after being exposed to air for a while due to oxidation. Similarly, human cells undergo change and age due to oxidation. Some of the oxygen we breathe in undergoes a chemical transformation inside the body, turning into reactive oxygen species, ROS, which have a much stronger oxidizing ability. This powerful oxidation is a weapon used by immune cells to fight off invading pathogens. Therefore, the body needs a certain level of ROS for self-defense. However, when ROS levels become too high, they can cause damage to cells. Fortunately, the body also has the ability to suppress excess ROS, which is known as antioxidant ability. The most representative of these antioxidants is superoxide dismutase, SOD, which can remove excess ROS or neutralize their toxicity. Our body naturally produce SOD, so under normal conditions, even if ROS levels increase, it usually won't cause problems. However, when ROS are produced in excess due to factors like inflammation, stress, or prolonged exposure to UV rays, or when the body's antioxidant capacity decreases with age, the body can no longer handle the excessive oxidative stress. As a result, ROS starts to attack cells throughout the body, leading to oxidative stress. Oxidative stress causes damage to cells within the body, and these damaged cells are the very ones the body aims to eliminate, triggering an inflammatory response. Additionally, when inflammation occurs, ROS are generated, which in turn disrupt the body's immune mechanism that protect against harmful bacteria. The longer inflammation lasts, the higher the level of ROS in the body. This means that inflammation and oxidation occur almost simultaneously, creating a vicious cycle that continually worsens. By the way, have you ever heard of the term glycation, the so-called Maillard reaction refers to the process in which glucose, a breakdown product of carbohydrates, binds with proteins, causing protein denaturation and leading to the formation of advanced glycation end products, AGEs. Excessive sugar intake in daily life is a major cause of glycation in the body. When excess sugar binds with proteins in the body, glycation occurs due to body heat. What's even more concerning is that these aging substances accumulate in the body and, like fat, are difficult to eliminate. Glycation not only leads to sagging skin and wrinkles, but also increases the risk of various diseases. Additionally, the aging substances produced by glycation generate reactive oxygen species, causing oxidative stress, which ultimately triggers inflammation. Later, we will get to know more about glycation. So that is to say, both oxidation and glycation contribute to inflammation. Therefore, to maintain good health, we should focus on antioxidation, anti-glycation, and anti-inflammation. Okay, next. The most widely recognized anti-inflammatory nutrients are EPA and DHA. EPA is beneficial for vascular health, while DHA is beneficial for brain health. Both EPA and DHA are outstanding in suppressing inflammation. They can both indirectly prevent the production of inflammation and directly transform into mediators that suppress inflammation. Therefore, it is recommended you to eat more fish, or you can simply take Greenworld deep sea fish oil capsule, which contains rich EPA and DHA. Okay, next, spirulina plus capsule is a good choice if you are vectoring. Spirulina is a superfood and is rich in anti-inflammatory compounds such as phycocyanin and chlorofluoride. Meanwhile, it is also packed with antioxidants, including beta-carotene, vitamin E, and selenium, which neutralize free radicals and reduce oxidative stress, a major contribute to chronic inflammation. Spirulina also can modulate the immune system by enhancing the activity of natural killer NK cells and regulating the production of inflammatory markers. This helps prevent overreactive immune response, which can lead to chronic inflammation. At the same time, spirulina promotes the growth of beneficial gut bacteria, and the healthy gut microbiome helps reduce systemic inflammation and supports overall immune function. Okay, next. Blueberries are widely known for their powerful anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties, making them a popular choice in the fight against inflammation. Blueberries are rich in antioxidants, particularly anthocyanins, vitamin C, vitamin E, and phenolic compounds, all of which contribute to the body's ability to neutralize free radicals and combat oxidative damage. These Okay. These antioxidants in blueberries don't just neutralize free radicals, they can also help reduce inflammation by inhibiting the production of inflammatory molecules such as cytokines and prostaglandins, which play a role in the inflammatory process. Blueberry juice high VC is rich in antioxidants, and the daily consumption helps fight chronic inflammation. Okay, next. As we mentioned earlier, obesity, especially abdominal obesity, is most likely to trigger inflammation in the body. So, for overweight and obese individuals, weight loss is the most effective anti-inflammatory medicine. Meanwhile, maintaining healthy habits is an essential part of an anti-inflammatory lifestyle for everyone. Number one, cut consumption of sweet and fried foods. These foods contain trans fats, which the body doesn't need. If consumed in excess, trans fats can lead to obesity, diabetes, and even cardiovascular diseases. When purchasing packaged foods, instant foods, puffed snacks, pastries, or baked goods, always check the ingredients. If you see terms like artificial butter, shortening, processed fats, or hydrogenated vegetable oil, it means the product contains trans fats. Number two, eat more fruits and vegetables rich in antioxidants. Plants, which can't move, produce phytochemicals like anthocyanins found in blueberries, grapes, eggplant, and purple onions, and carotenoids found in carrots, spinach, and pumpkins to protect themselves from UV damage. This is why plants have antioxidant properties. Number 3, regular exercise can effectively reduce fat accumulation and combat inflammation. Exercise stimulates the muscles to release anti-inflammatory cytokines, improves blood circulation, releases nitric oxide, NO, and suppresses inflammation in the blood vessels walls. Number 4, quit smoking and avoid secondhand smoke. The smoke produced by burning cigarettes can cause inflammation in the bronchial tubes, and when inhaled, can spread throughout the body, increasing the amount of reactive oxygen species, ROS, and triggering oxidative stress. Number 5, try stress management. Excessive stress can trigger inflammation. Emotions like anger and anxiety activate the sympathetic nervous system and put pressure on blood vessels, equivalent to smoking 3 cigarettes on one. Sources of stress can come from a relationship, work, or family. Since stress can't be eliminated, we should learn to cope with it, accept it, and face it, because the mind and body are connected. Moderate exercises like walking or yoga can help relieve stress and make you feel more relaxed. Okay, next. Okay, that's all for my sharing topic today. Now, let's give a round of applause to Miss Michelle for sharing the next wonderful topic. Okay, Michelle, it's your turn.
Hello, everyone. So, we have noticed that the number of obese people has surged globally, and at the same time, disease caused by obesity are continuously increasing. Obesity is not only a major cause of heart disease and cancer, but is also associated with other severe illnesses such as diabetes, hypertension, chronic kidney disease, stroke, and Alzheimer's disease. Moreover, among patients with infectious disease, obese individuals are more likely to develop severe conditions. When it comes to obesity, simply put, it is a state of abnormal fat accumulation in the body. Many people believe that eating too much fat leads to weight gain, and that low fat foods like buckwheat noodles are a better choice than meat. However, it is not fat that causes weight gain, but sugar. And this sugar does not only refer to table sugar, but to carbohydrates as well. In the field of nutrition, carbohydrates, proteins, and fats are known as 3 macronutrients. Along with vitamins, minerals, water, and dietary fiber, they make up the 7 essential nutrients needed by the human body. Carbohydrates, which include staple food like noodle, provide energy, help maintain normally body function. Carbohydrates belong to the category of polysaccharides, while the table sugar is disaccharide. Regardless of whether it is a disaccharide or a polysaccharide, once consumed, it is broken down into individual glucose molecules during digestion. The glucose then enters the bloodstream through the small intestine, raising blood sugar levels. In essence, rice and table sugar are the same of the body. They are both sugar. To put it in perspective, eating 100 grams of rice, roughly equivalent to consuming 10 sugar cubes. The normal blood sugar range is between 70 and 140. However, consuming high sugar foods can cause a rapid spike in blood sugar levels. In response, the body secretes insulin from the pancreas to lower blood sugar. Insulin works by first converting excess glucose in the blood into glycogen, which is stored in the liver and muscles. However, since storage capacity is limited, any remaining glucose is converted into glyceride, neutral fats, and is stored in fat cells, leading to weight gain. Additionally, nearly 100% of the sugar consumed is converted into glucose and fully absorbed by the body. Therefore, consuming large amount of carbohydrates continuously increase fat storage and naturally leading to obesity. So our next slide is, we just mentioned that eating fat does not cause weight gain. But why is that? First, fat is quickly consumed by the body. Our body contains approximately 37 trillion cells, and forming cells membrane requires a large amount of fat. Fat is also a raw material for cholesterol and communication mediators between cells, such as prostaglandins, are composed of fats. This shows that fat is a crucial nutrient for maintaining our health. Second, fat has a low absorption rate. Even if we consume a large amount of fat, most of it is excreted through stool rather than absorbed into the bloodstream. You may have noticed that after eating greasy food, some stool floats on the surface of the toilet water the next day. This is the fat that was not absorbed by the body. Third, the amount of fat we consume is relatively low compared to carbohydrates. Since fat intake is naturally lower, reducing the fat consumption for weight loss is not an effective approach and can even be harmful to health. Instead, the real cause of obesity is sugar addiction. Okay, next slide. Thank you. What is sugar addiction? Sugar addiction can be described as uncontrollable craving for carbohydrates, sugar. When the brain compulsively desires food like rice, noodle, sugary drinks, and snacks, it leads to overeating and weight gain. This addiction mechanism is not unique to sugar. It also applies to gambling and alcohol addiction. When people lose control and become unable to quit, they develop a dependence. The more sugar one's consumed, the stronger the cravings becomes. This happens because excessive sugar intake makes the brain more prone to addiction, creating a cycle where it demands more and more sugar. Actually, there is biological reason behind sugar cravings. Unlike protein and fat intake, our craving for sugar is deeply rooted in our ancient DNA. Since sugar is primary energy source, the human brain has always been programmed to seek it out. In prehistoric times, people relied on hunting and gathering for survival, and sugar was essential for sustaining life. However, because sugar was scarce back then, this craving system was actually beneficial, and this mechanism is linked to a hormone known as dopamine, which is part of brain reward system. When we consume excessive sugar, blood sugar levels spike rapidly. In response, the pancreas secretes large amount of insulin to lower blood sugar. However, this sudden drop in blood sugar can lead to hypoglycemia, which causes symptoms such as irritability, intense hunger, cold sweats, heart palpitation, trembling, and nausea. These are the brain signals urging you to consume more sugar. If you obey this craving and eat sugar again, your blood sugar rises, and at the same time, the brain releases dopamine. Dopamine not only alleviates discomfort but also creates a sense of pleasure, reinforcing the habit of consuming sugar. Over time, these vicious cycles keep repeating, make it extremely difficult to break free. This inability to escape the cycle due to the brain response to sugar is what we call sugar addiction. Slide number 5. Thank you, Mom Linda. Different types of sugary foods affects blood sugar levels in different ways. The blood sugar rise caused by rice, bread, and noodles is relatively gradual. However, refined sugary snacks cause a quicker spike, while buttered fruit juices and coffee drinks, easily available in convenience stores, supermarkets, and vending machines, lead to a very rapid increase in blood sugar levels. This happens because liquid sugars does not need to be digested in the stomach. It is immediately transported to the small intestine, where glucose is absorbed into bloodstream within 30 minutes. As a result, blood sugar levels can spike sharply to nearly 200 milligram milliliters, creating a sugar spike, just like climbing a steep hill and then rapidly descending. After reaching this peak, blood sugar levels drop quickly. Within 2 hours, they may fall below 7 mg and DL, leading to sharp decline. If you had a medical checkup that reveals abnormal fasting blood sugar levels or HbA1c levels, an oral glucose tolerance test, in short, OGTT, should be conducted. This test involves drinking a solution containing 75 grams of glucose on an empty stomach and then monitoring blood sugar changes over 120 minutes. If blood sugar levels exceed to 140 mg DL after 120 minutes, diabetes can be diagnosed. However, the standard test only absorbs changes for 120 minutes. A study conducted in Kagoshima, Japan, tracked 26 volunteers for 300 minutes after undergoing a glucose tolerance. A fascinating discovery emerged. Two volunteers who deemed a healthy at 120 mark actually experienced dangerously low blood sugar levels at 150 and 180 minutes, reaching 55 mg DL and 58 mg DL respectively. As previously mentioned, when blood sugar falls below 70 mg DL, Symptoms such as dizziness, irritability, and cravings appears, compelling the brain to demand more sugar. This means that these two volunteers were actually sugar addiction. Despite passing the standard glucose tolerance test. Next slide. Thank you, Mom Linda. The dangers of sugar addiction. All know that gambling addiction and drug abuse can destroy lives. But what are the dangers of sugar addiction? After experiencing a blood sugar peak, blood sugar levels drop sharply, causing discomforts. However, these symptoms are easily overlooked because they disappear temporarily when more sugar is consumed. This cycle repeats unconsciously, making sugar addiction progressively worse. If sugar addiction is left unchecked, the most obvious consequence is obesity. Those who are slightly overweight can still lose weight relatively easily. But for those suffering from severe obesity, losing weight gain, becomes extremely difficult due to extent of their sugar dependence. Excess glucose in the blood leads to production of advanced glycation and products, ages in short, which is accelerate aging. The combination of obesity and ages continuously accumulates, contributing to various lifestyle-relatedly disease. Not only diabetes, but also high blood pressure, cancer, heart attacks, strokes, chronic kidney disease, and Alzheimer's disease are closely linked to sugar addiction. Slide number 7. Thank you, Mom. Everyone knows that our body is interconnected through blood vessels, and no organ function is independently. The reason our organs can operate normally is that blood delivers oxygen and nutrients to them. Therefore, to maintain good health, we must pay close attention to our blood and blood vessels. The biggest threat to their health is excess glucose. Surplus glucose not only rises blood sugar levels, but also stick to blood vessel walls, causing damage. As we discussed earlier, obesity occurs because the pancreas secretes insulin to process excess glucose in the blood, converting into glycerides and storing it in fat cells. In other words, we gain weight because insulin is working hard to prevent diabetes. However, insulin has its limits. We continuously consume excessive sugar the pancreas because fatigue leading to reduced insulin secretion. When blood sugar levels remain high despite insulin efforts, diabetes develops. If uncontrolled, diabetes weakens the immune system, making the body more susceptible to disease. Studies show that people with diabetes have a higher risk of developing cancer, heart attacks, strokes, and Alzheimer's disease compared to a healthy individuals. Diabetes itself is not the scariest part. The real danger lies in its complication, including diabetic neuropathy, kidney disease. In severe cases, patients require dialysis. Diabetic neuropathy, eye disease, if left untreated, it can lead to blindness. Diabetic neuropathy, nerve damage, even a small wound can result in gangrene and ultimately amputation. Slide number 8. Chronic kidney disease, in short CKD, is a major global health issue. It includes disease like glomerulonephritis, which directly affects the kidneys, and kidney disease can cause by diabetes complication. Alarmingly, diabetic kidney disease accounts for 44% of all CKD cases. Obesity also damages kidney function, meaning excessive sugar intake significantly increases the risk of CKD. Hearing the word chronic, many people consume it, not a big deal. However, chronic kidney disease is far more serious than acute kidney disease because acute kidney disease can often be cured with proper treatment, while chronic kidney disease is irreversible. It gradually worsens until the patient depends on dialysis to survive. Patients with chronic kidney disease eventually require hemodialysis, which is a grueling process. These 3 sessions per week, each lasting about 5 hours. Patient must lie in bed during treatment, significantly lowering their quality of life. Their life expectancy drops dramatically. Only 60% of dialysis patients survive beyond 5 years. You may ask, is dialysis necessary? Well, during daily activities like eating, moving, and breathing. Continue. Chronic kidney disease doesn't just lead to kidney failure, it also increases the risk of cancer, heart attacks, and strokes, accelerating overall health deterioration. In many cases, CKD patients die from other disease before kidney failure even occurs. In reality, the kidneys and heart are closely linked, a connection known in medicine as cardiorenal syndrome. Heart failure can trigger kidney failure, and kidney failure can worsen heart function, leading to heart failure. Additionally, research shown that brain and digestive system are closely related to kidney function. Slide number 9. Excessive sugar intake leads to obesity, which raises blood pressure. A large-scale study conducted by Charitable Foundation established by Microsoft founder Bill Gates and his ex-wife found that high blood pressure, hypertension, is the leading cause of death worldwide. Additionally, a 2020 study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association indicated that treating hypertension can reduce the risk of developing Alzheimer's disease. On the other hand, failing to control hypertension increases the risk of Alzheimer's. Many people know that high blood pressure accelerates arterial hardening, arteriosclerosis, leading to heart attacks and stroke. However, the damage caused by hypertension extends throughout the body, including the kidneys, which have delicate blood vessels that highly susceptible to damage. As kidney function declines, the body's ability to regulate salt and water excretion weakens, causing further increases in blood sugar pressure, a condition known as renal hypertension. Even individuals who had low blood pressure in their youth may develop hypertension if their kidney function deteriorates. Slide number 10, visceral fats, chronic inflammation, and the role of sugar. Studies shown that all lifestyle-related disease systems, from chronic inflammation, which gradually damages organs. Lifestyle disease include heart attack, stroke, diabetes, hypertension, dyslipidemia, abnormal cholesterol levels, chronic kidney disease. This disease classified as non-communicable disease, NCDs in short, by the World Health Organization differ from infectious disease like COVID-19 or influenza, which are caused by external pathogens. In contrast, lifestyle disease is result from internal factors linked to poor daily habits, while inflammation is neutral defense mechanism meant to protect the body, e.g., swelling from an injury, sore throat from a cold. Chronic low-grade inflammation is far more dangerous. It silently damages tissue and organs over time, leading to structural and functional abnormalities that cause various disease. Since chronic inflammation affects the entire body, people with one lifestyle disease often develop multiple conditions simultaneously. This is evident in health checkups where aging individuals frequently have abnormalities in blood pressure, liver function, cholesterol, and blood sugar levels. Men are more prone to storing visceral fats than women. This type of fats trigger chronic inflammation, releasing inflammatory cytokines that increase the risk of heart attacks and a stroke. So, from an inflammatory perspective, reducing sugar intake is crucial. Slide number 11. Beyond oxidation, the greater danger of glycation. We are all familiar with the concept of oxidation and its role is accelerating aging. Antioxidants help fight inflammation, as discussed previously. However, what is more dangerous than oxidation is glycation. What is glycation? Glycation occurs when glucose, sugar, binds to protein and lipids, leading to cellular damage. Since our bodies are primarily composed of proteins and fats, aside from water, excess glucose triggers a continuously glycation reaction, producing advanced glycation and products, AGs in short, highly harmful substances. AGs can cause wrinkles and dark spots on your skin by degrading proteins. AGs can lead to arterial hardening, increasing the risk of heart attacks and stroke and chronic kidney disease. Recent studies worldwide had linked AGs to nearly all major disease, including heart attacks, strokes, and chronic kidney disease. Furthermore, research has found large accumulations of AGs in the brain of Alzheimer's and Parkinson's patients. Additionally, AGs are closely linked to diabetes. People with diabetes have excessive glucose in their blood, which lead to the rapid formation of AGs. This accelerates vascular damage, making diabetes a major risk factor for heart disease and kidney disease. AGs also damage kidney filtration membranes, worsening diabetic neuropathy. Overeating sugar carbohydrates can accelerate AGs formation, make it a form of self-harm. So, to prevent aging, inflammation, and disease, we must control sugar intake, reduce obesity, and maintaining healthy blood pressure. How to know if you are addicted to sugar? Next slide, sorry. You might be wondering, how do I know if I'm addicted to sugar? Here's a 10 questions self-assessment. You can simply answer yes or no to each. Even after eating a proper breakfast, do you feel hungry before lunch? Once you start eating junk food or sweets, do you find it hard to stop? Do you sometimes feel unsatisfied even after a meal? Do you feel the urge to eat just by being food or smelling its aroma? Do you sometimes eat food even when you're not hungry? Do you frequently crave late night snacks? Do you feel sluggish and unwilling to move after eating too much? Do you experience unexplained fatigue and hunger after lunch? Have you ever continued eating even after feeling full? Have you experienced weight regain after trying to lose weight? Results 0 to 2 yes. Answer no sugar addiction. 3 to 4 yes. Answers mild sugar addiction. 5 to 7 yes. Answer moderate sugar addiction. 8 to 10 yes. Answer severe sugar addiction. Next slide. Healthy tips to overcome sugar addiction. If you find yourself addicted to sugar, it is important to take it seriously. If you're also overweight or obese, you should be even more cautious about sugar intake, as treating sugar addiction is essentially the same as treating obesity. Completely cutting out sugar isn't the solution. This could trigger uncontrollable cravings and lead to overconsumption. Instead, the key is to trick your brain by gradually reducing sugar intake while still keeping it satisfied. One effective method is to pair carbohydrates with proteins and fats in meals. This helps stabilize blood sugar levels. Additionally, eating fiber-rich vegetables before consuming carbohydrates can also prevent sharp blood sugar spikes. To lose weight while controlling sugar, aim to keep daily sugar intake under 60 g. By doing this, anyone can lose weight, typically losing around 100 to 200 per gram per day. However, if you have severe sugar addiction, don't suddenly drop to 60. Gradual reduction is key. A great way to track progress is monitoring blood sugar levels using continuously glucose monitor CGM. In short, keeping post-meal blood sugar levels below 140 mg/dL ensures steady weight loss of 100 to 200 g per gram. Here are some tips to overcome sugar addiction. Avoid sugary drinks, including diets, sodas. Liquid sugar is biggest culprit behind sugar addiction. Artificials, sweeteners are also harmful, so it's best to avoid them. It is important to note that every 100 ml of cola contains 11.3 grams of sugar. Drinking 2 cans 350 ml each of cola exceeds that sugar content. A glucose tolerance test solution. Imagine how much sugar those who drink soda regularly are consuming. Drink 2 liters of water daily to help flush out waste. If plain water is unavailing, try unsweetened herbal teas. Eat more vegetable, tofu, seaweed, mushroom, fish, and meat. Plant-based food like vegetable and tofu are low in sugar and contain powerful antioxidants. Be mindful of starchy vegetables like potatoes and pumpkins, which have high sugar content. Protein-rich food like fish, meats, do not spike blood sugar and can consume more freely. Best protein source includes fish, best poultry, chicken, and red meat, beef, lamb, and pork. Avoid cakes, pastries, and sweets. Sweets contain high amounts of sugar and highly addictive. If you are not able to quit immediately, limit consumption to specific times, e.g., set snack time between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. and gradually reduce intake. Stop buying chips, cookies, and other processed snacks. Reduce intake of rice, pasta, and other simple carbs. The main resource of sugar in most diets is simple carbohydrates, e.g., rice, bread, pasta. In order to control sugar intake, start by reducing carb portions. Slide number 40. Stay motivated by focusing on the benefits of sugar control and weight loss. If you overeat carbs, exercise immediately after eating. This can help regulate blood sugar. Post-meal like exercise like heel rises and squat can help. The 12 squat method is highly recommended, especially for those who struggle to find time to exercise. You can slowly lower into a squat, keep for 6 seconds, then slowly rise back up. Keep for 6 seconds and repeat for 10 sets. These exercises help activate legs muscles and counteract excess carb intake. Losing weight and cutting sugar isn't easy, so remind yourself of benefits. Better health, clearer skin, increased energy, focus, more clothing options. Setting a good example for kids, compliments from others. Meanwhile, you can set mini rewards for reaching milestones. For example, if you control sugar intake for a week, treat yourself to a movie night. Another good way to keep your move on to keep savings jars. Each time you resist junk food, save the money instead. Use your savings to buy something special like luxury skincare, a vacation. Slide number 15. To steer clear of extra sugar, you need to completely cut any soda, commercial fruit juice, and alcoholic beverage. It is suggested you drink Pro-Slim tea instead. One bag generally brews 3 to 5 cups of tea, and 1 to 2 bags of Pro-Slim tea is recommended to cover a whole day fluids intake. Why Pro-Slim tea? Because it is restrict absorption of the fat in small intestine and assist in expelling toxins. It also help accelerate the breakdown of fat and reduce fat deposit to help weight control. Slide number 16, Chitosan capsule. It is good choice if you have sugar addiction and overweight. As a dietary fiber, it absorbs waters and expands slightly in the stomachs to form gelatin-like substance and slow down digestions, such as gelatin-like thing can give you a sense of fullness. Feeling fuller for longer can reduce snacking and cravings for quick sugar hits. While chitosan is primarily known for binding fats, there's some evidence that chitosan oligosaccharide can help improve insulin sensitivity and regulate blood glucose levels. It matters because more stable blood sugar equals to fewer spikes and crashes that trigger sugar cravings. Chitosan may have prebiotic effects, supporting the growth of healthy gut bacteria. Gut flora can influence sugar cravings. Certain bad bacteria literally feed on sugar and send signals to your brain to eat more of it. Since chitosan is used in weight loss programming due to its path-bending ability, it may be part of broader behavioral shift in people actively trying to eat healthier, reduce sugar intake, control portions, and making conscious dietary changes can reduce psychological dependency on sugar. Slide number 17. Clear CJJ fresh drink is rich in dietary fiber. Insoluble fiber feeds the good bacteria living in your gut, helping you digest food efficiently and keeping your intestine healthy. And soluble dietary fiber helps your stomach absorb sugar more slowly, keeping your blood sugar and cholesterol levels lower. Meanwhile, this product is rich in vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants, promoting healthy gut microenvironment and promoting immunity. Clear CGG is especially good for overweight or obese people and people with long-term constipation. It is highly recommended to junk food lovers who eat food high in sugar, fat, and low dietary fibers, and vitamins and minerals. Slide number 18. By following these health tips and taking Green World health products, you can gradually overcome sugar addiction and lose weight and improve your overall health. So that's our
Okay. Thank you so much, Madam Linda. Thank you so much, Madam Michelle. It has been quite a very engaging evening. It has been very wonderful. Those two topics have really been interesting, and of course, they resonate with so many of us, especially both on inflammation, the one that Madam Linda started with. And for many people, we don't even understand that inflammation is a problem. We always think that inflammation maybe is something that is happening because you're having so many other problems, but you have made us understand what it is today. And of course, you have given us the remedy of our Greenwell products. Now we can be able to include them in our lifestyle, and so that we can be able to make our life and our health, of course, optimum. Madam Michelle, you have shared with us about sugars and carbohydrates, and I am very grateful that you have done that, because I am one. Sorry about that. I am very grateful because I am one of the people who get lost and entangled in sugar a lot. And while we were doing the self-test, I think I have gone to severely addicted to sugar and carbohydrates. But I thank God, because Greenworld again has given us products that have continued to help us. I'm one of the people who has really benefited from the Greenwell products when it comes to sugar addiction and obesity. And I am very happy that I have been able to observe my weight. Even post maternity, I have been able to work on my weight and to be able to watch my sugar cravings go down. So I don't know if there's anyone with a question. I've not seen a question in the comment section. If you have a question, please, you can engage us so that we can be able to answer all the questions. You can either raise your hand and ask the question, or you can send it to the chat room so that we can be able to help to answer.
Good evening. Good evening. Hi, Madam Doreen.
Hi, Madam Wata.
How are you? Sorry, I was caught up, but the network was so bad. I'm in Ghana.
Yeah.
And I just want to say thank you to our trainers, Madam Linda and Madam Michelle. Thank you so much for actually sharing the important tips, because this is one of the things that makes our lifespan to be very short, because we take it for granted that when you take sugar, it's just the crave and it goes away. We didn't know that the sugar can stay in your bloodstream and cause many problems. Thank you so much. We really appreciate. And Madam Doreen, thank you so much for actually taking the training through and during my absence, of course. But nevertheless, to the listeners, I'm sure today we all enjoy this training. We're all gonna be able to take care of our health, because we live once, right? Health is very important. Thanks to Greenworld for providing us with the right products at the right time. And let us make sure we all use these products without fail. Thank you so much to all the listeners around the world. And Madam Doreen, you can take over.
Yes, thank you so much, Madam Malta. And we understand you're in Ghana, and we understand your delay. We are so grateful again to our wonderful trainers. Thank you so much, Madam Linda. Thank you so much, Madam Michelle. It has been quite an engaging evening. We have really, really, really benefited a lot. We have learned a lot, and we are so grateful for that. I think we can see a few comments in the comment section before we end. And of course, we have someone saying it's an eye-opener meeting. Thank you. I'm from Lesotho. We have someone saying thank you very much from South Africa. And indeed, this speaks to how much this topic has come at the right time. So we may not have much to say tonight, but we look forward to learning more from you. We have enjoyed our training tonight, so I would like to ask everyone to unmute themselves and say goodbye. It has come to the end of our training for tonight. Thank you for listening. Thank you for joining.
Thank you. Thank you,
Yeah.
everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Have a
everyone.
good
Bye
For
bye.
you people,
Bye-bye.
thank you and see you next
See you
time.
next
Bye-bye.
time.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye bye.
you.
Thank you.
Good
So
night.
much.
Thank you, everyone.
Michelle,
Bye.
Michelle,
Thank you so much.
Great
Thank
to
you,
see you.
Linda.
See you next time.
See you.
See you next
Bye-bye.
Bless
time.
you.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Welcome,
Waiting to
Madam.
see you for the next meeting
Thank you. See you.
later.
See you.